If you're on food stamps right now, listen carefully, because the rules just changed. And what you don't know could cost you your benefits. The Trump administration just announced that all 42 million Americans receiving SNAP may need to reapply. And on top of that, brand new work requirements are now affecting people up to age 64 for the first time ever. I've spent the last week digging through the official announcements, the new legislation, and what advocacy groups are saying, so I can give you the facts, not the hype, not the political spin, just the truth. Today, I'm breaking down exactly what's changing, who's affected, what you need to do to protect your benefits, and how to separate fact from fiction when it comes to the fraud claims you're hearing. My name is Carl. For 15 years, I've helped seniors navigate government benefits. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been watching for a while, welcome back. Before we dive in, do me a quick favor. Hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you don't miss any updates that could affect your benefits. All right, let's get into it. So here's what happened. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins announced last week that the Trump administration wants all SNAP recipients to reapply for their benefits. Her exact words on Newsmax were that the plan is to have everyone reapply, make sure that everyone taking a taxpayer-funded benefit through SNAP or food stamps is truly vulnerable and can't survive without it. She followed that up on Fox News with this line: "Business as usual is over. The status quo is no more." When I heard that, I had a lot of questions, and I'm guessing you do too. Here's what we know for sure. The USDA has not released a timeline. They have not released detailed instructions, and this would require coordination with all 50 states, many of which have already pushed back. In fact, 21 states and Washington, D.C. have sued to block the federal government from even collecting personal data on SNAP recipients. A federal judge has temporarily sided with those states. So, is this definitely happening? Not yet. Could it happen? Possibly. Should you prepare? Absolutely. The smart move right now is simple. Make sure your information is current, your documentation is organized, and you're ready if and when changes start rolling out. Now, here's something that is definitely happening right now, and it's affecting seniors between 55 and 64 for the very first time. As of November 1st, 2025, new work requirements went into effect under the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that President Trump signed back in July. Before this law, if you were an able-bodied adult without dependents, what they call an ABAWD, you only had to meet work requirements if you were between 18 and 54. But that age cap just jumped to 64. Let me break this down in plain English. If you're between 55 and 64, able to work, and you don't have dependents under age 14 living with you, you now have to work or volunteer at least 80 hours per month. That's about 20 hours per week, to keep receiving SNAP for more than 3 months in a 3-year period. Here's what counts toward those 80 hours: paid work of any kind, unpaid work or volunteering, job training programs, or state-approved education programs. If you don't meet those hours, you only get SNAP for 3 months out of every 3 years. After that, you're cut off until you either meet the requirement for 30 straight days or you qualify for an exemption. So who's exempt? You're exempt if you have a physical or mental disability that prevents you from working. You're exempt if you're caring for a child under 14. You're exempt if you're pregnant. And if you're 65 or older, you don't have to meet a BAOD work requirements at all. So, seniors 65 and up, you can breathe a little easier on this one. But for anyone between 55 and 64, this is a major shift. AARP has already sounded the alarm, pointing out that 2/3 of workers over 50 say they faced age discrimination. Finding 80 hours of work isn't always as simple as lawmakers make it sound. And the work requirement age change isn't the only thing shifting. The new law also changed caregiver exemptions. Before, if you had a dependent child under 18, you were exempt from ABOD work rules. Now, that exemption only applies if the child is under 14. So if you're a grandparent raising a teenager, and there are millions who are, you may have to meet work requirements that didn't apply to you before. Veterans and people experiencing homelessness also lost their automatic exemptions under the new law. That's a major change, and it hits vulnerable groups the hardest. There's more. Eligibility rules for non-citizens also tightened. Only U.S. citizens, lawful permanent residents, and a few specific categories of immigrants are still eligible. Refugees and certain visa holders who previously qualified no longer do. According to the Congressional Budget Office, about 1.1 million people will lose SNAP benefits over the next decade because of these work requirement changes alone, including roughly 800,000 adults through age 64 with no dependents. If you think you might be affected, contact your local SNAP office now. Don't wait until your benefits get cut, and ask specifically whether you need to update or document anything differently at your next recertification. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the fraud claims being used to justify these changes. Secretary Rollins has repeatedly said the SNAP program is rife with fraud and corrupt. She cited numbers like 186,000 deceased individuals receiving benefits and 500,000 people supposedly enrolled in multiple states. Those numbers sound scary, but let's slow down and look at what the actual data shows. First, the USDA's most recent report puts the national payment error rate at about 11%. That sounds high, but here's the key. Error is not the same as fraud. That 11% includes administrative mistakes, incorrect benefit amounts, both overpayments and underpayments, data entry issues, and yes, a small amount of fraud. But when researchers isolate intentional fraud, especially retailer trafficking, the most measurable form, the rate is only 1.5 to 2%. The GAO and the Congressional Research Service have both said the same thing. There is no single number that captures all fraud in SNAP. But the hard evidence shows it's far smaller than the improper payment rate makes it seem. Now, what about those 186,000 deceased people supposedly receiving benefits? Almost always, that's data lag. When someone passes away, it takes time for that information to move through multiple government systems. It doesn't mean someone is out there actively stealing benefits from dead people. And the 500,000 people enrolled in multiple states? Same issue. When someone moves, their name can appear in both systems temporarily until records sync. That's a data matching problem, not necessarily fraud. Now, is there real fraud in SNAP? Yes. A big one is EBT card skimming. Criminal networks use skimmers to steal card information and drain accounts. According to the USDA, fraudulent transactions increased 55% between late 2024 and early 2025. But here's the important part. That's fraud being committed against recipients, not by recipients. Those are criminals stealing from families who need help. The administration has arrested about 118 people for SNAP fraud. Meanwhile, they've removed around 700,000 people from the program. As one political scientist pointed out, if they only arrested 118 people, it's pretty clear most of those 700,000 people weren't committing fraud. My point isn't political. My point is this. Don't let fraud headlines make you feel guilty for receiving benefits you are legally entitled to. If you qualify and you need the help, that's exactly what SNAP is for. All right, let's get practical. Here's exactly what you should do right now to protect your SNAP benefits. Number 1, keep your recertification current. Right now, SNAP recipients do not need to take any new action based on Secretary Rollins' announcement. The mass reapplication hasn't started and there's no timeline. But you do need to keep doing your regular recertification. Every 6, 12, or 24 months depending on your state. Don't miss those deadlines. Number 2, report changes promptly. If your income changes by more than $10, if someone moves in or out of your household, if your work situation changes, report it to your SNAP office. Not reporting changes is one of the fastest ways to create problems. Number 3, document your work activity, if you're 55 to 64. If you're in that age group and subject to work requirements, start keeping records now. Save pay stubs, volunteer logs, training certificates, anything that proves you're meeting the 80-hour monthly requirement. If you have a disability exemption, make sure you have the paperwork ready. If your state asks for proof, you'll want it on hand. Number 4, watch your mail and messages. Your SNAP office will send notices about required actions. Don't ignore them. Missing a deadline, even by accident, can get your benefits cut off. Number 5, know your resources. If you're struggling to meet work requirements because of age discrimination, health issues, or limited job options, ask about SNAP employment and training programs. They're free, and participating counts toward your 80 hours. And remember, if you're 65 or older, you are exempt from ABOD work requirements entirely. You only need to meet income and asset limits. Plus, seniors can often use medical expense deductions to increase their benefit amount. Number 6, beware of scams. With all this news, scammers are going to take advantage. If anyone tells you to re-register, pay a fee, or give your EBTPIN, it's a scam. The government will never ask for your PIN, ever. One more thing you should know. SNAP is funded through September 2026. During the recent government shutdown, there was real chaos around SNAP payments. Some people missed their benefits for part of November. It was scary, stressful, and completely out of their control. The good news? Congress reached a deal, and SNAP is now guaranteed through the end of fiscal year 2026. That's September 30th, 2026. Even if there's another shutdown before then, your SNAP benefits are protected. So yes, there's a lot of uncertainty about future changes. But the immediate funding? That part is secure. Let me quickly recap the most important things to remember from today. The Trump administration has announced plans for all SNAP recipients to reapply, but there's no timeline and no instructions yet. Don't panic, just stay informed. New work requirements are in effect right now for adults up to age 64. If you're 55 to 64, able-bodied, and don't have young dependents, you need 80 hours per month of work, volunteering, or training. Seniors 65 and older are fully exempt from ABOD work requirements. Your eligibility is based on income and assets only. Keep your recertification current, report changes quickly. Document your work hours, and stay on top of your mail and messages. The fraud headlines are overblown. Errors aren't the same as fraud, and most people receiving SNAP are fully eligible. If this information was helpful, please tap the like button and share this video with anyone you know who receives SNAP. There's a lot of confusion right now, and people need clear, accurate facts. And drop a comment below. Are you worried about these changes? Have the new work rules affected you? I read every comment and I want to hear from you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care of yourself.